Myles Garrett has requested a trade from the Cleveland Browns. 29 years old, just recorded his fourth straight year with 14-plus sacks, six-time Pro Bowler, four-time All-Pro, the fourth fastest player to reach 100 sacks. He actually joined Lawrence Taylor as the only player in league history with at least 12 sacks in 5 straight seasons. But this is his 6th losing season out of 8 years in the NFL. He has said many times that he wants his accolades to be paired with team success. The Browns apparently have no intentions of trading him. Couldn't be a stupider remark to come out of the GM's mouth, to be honest with you. And he even said he will not entertain 2 first-rounders for him. That was just recently over this weekend at the Senior Bowl. But he is open to a new deal. I am getting to the point where you'll be able to give your take, JV. I just wanted to kind of set the stage for what Myles Garrett has really done in his career, but it's not all that it's cracked up to be when you're with the Cleveland Browns. He's got 2 years remaining on the 5-year, $125 million extension. That made him the highest paid non-quarterback in 2020. And we've seen the organization kind of pull off a whole New Orleans Saints vibe, restructuring contracts to free up short-term cap, pushing the money into future years. And the Browns have done that with Myles Garrett's contract. So trading him before June 1 would be a hefty dead cap charge of $36 million. After June 1, they would only be 14.8 in dead cap, and they would save about $5 million in the cap in general for the following year. JV, now giving the floor to you after I've set the stage. What are your best suitors, in your opinion, for Myles Garrett now requesting this trade out of Cleveland?
Everyone wants a defensive player of the year or a reigning defensive player of the year. Like, that's no question. But Myles Garrett, I mean, kudos to him. He stuck it out way longer than I would have with a Cleveland organization that's just trash. From what I understand, he wants to leave Cleveland because he wants to contend for a championship. And a lot of the analysts, or maybe the rumors floating around, are teams that aren't necessarily prepared to make a championship or make a Super Bowl run, which is a little confusing to me. To be honest with you, I think he goes to a contending team just because he won't be happy going to a team that's maybe rebuilding or looking to rebuild. My shot in the dark from that perspective is the Pats. I think New England has a lot of hope. I think Drake May's incredible. If they can figure their stuff out, they got Vrabel now. If they can get their D-line and O-line in shape, adding Myles Garrett, that would be big. But as far as contenders go, AJ, written down, I had Detroit, I had Washington, I had Philly. Detroit, when Aiden Hutchinson comes back, that would be an elite duo to pair Washington with Jaden Daniels. They have a franchise quarterback they can rely on. Now they get to build a defense that was, I think, 29th ranked in yards per game on the ground. That's brutal. They could use Myles Garrett. And then Philly, I mean, I would never count out Howie Roseman. He's a genius. And I know they're a stacked team, but how many times have we seen the Philadelphia Eagles maneuver their cap space to bring on yet another star? Barkley, A.J. Brown. All these guys just appear out of nowhere, and it's all due to Howie. And Myles Garrett, I'm pretty sure he said he wanted to go there. So I think those three, as far as contenders, the Pats, the shot in the dark, but I would not count out Philly, especially with what Howie Roseman does. They're not the favorite for me, but again, they're always lurking in these types of discussions.
Yeah. I'd be a fool not to say that the Eagles have a claim at Myles Garrett, but Myles Garrett, Nolan Smith, Zach Bond, that
how much better can it get?
There. Right. How much better can it get? Like, as the number one defense in the league, like, that needs to be blocked. That needs to be conspired away from the Eagles in whatever way possible. But we're not going to knock Howie Roseman as the best GM in the league if he's actually able to do that, you know? Destiny, appreciate you saying that about the Saints. I definitely hope we're able to pull it through as well. Out of respect for the situation, I'm not going to speak on the allegations about the Saints. I don't believe at this point in time that the Saints are going to be sold. There's a lot that was wrapped up in Mr. Benson's will when he passed the team on to his wife, Miss Benson. It was not fake, unfortunately. Question. I will say a very simple there, and it'll be able to really break it down for you. In terms of best suitors for Myles Garrett, you know, he's definitely not going in the division after Saquon's explosion this year and how awful the GM has been lately with picks and contracts. That's not going to happen. But this is also the same guy who said he won't take 2 first-round picks for Myles Garrett at 29 years old. So we'll see. Does it take 3? I believe someone could trade 3 first-round picks for Myles Garrett, because when you're in conversations with Lawrence Taylor, when you're the 4th fastest player to 100 sacks, when you've had 4 straight years with 14-plus sacks, I mean, what else can you say about Myles Garrett performing at the highest level? And he said just because of his personal accolades, he is not going to be the guy. He's not going to diminish his hopes and his dreams for winning a championship just because of basically what's built around him isn't built to succeed. Like, he's not going to, settle on that. Definitely got quite a few here, so I'll run through them rather quickly so we're not too held up. But I think there's a lot of teams in the league that would really enjoy seeing Myles Garrett. So you guys stick with me here, and I'd love to hear it in the comments. JV, chime in as well if maybe I throw one to the wall that just doesn't stick for you. Obviously, Washington, they don't have a star edge rusher or really a star defensive player. Of course, they have Cleveland Farrell, Frankie Louvu. They got Wagner, Daron Payne, Jonathan Allen, Dante Fowler, all formidable guys, no doubt. They make a good unit. But you insert Myles Garrett, he's immediately the best player on the defense, and he provides so much. I would say the Atlanta Falcons, but my whole take with that is if they can't draft a pass rusher in the last 7 years in the first round, now going on 8 years walking into 2025, Tack McKinley was the last defensive player they took in the first round for an edge rusher. So, and they kind of got burned with that as his, career played out. So why would they trade the house for one? Yes, we are talking about a legendary player. Myles Garrett could retire today and be a Hall of Famer without any Super Bowl run, without just, or with rather just a couple of playoff wins, a couple of playoff appearances. But again, 6 losing seasons in 8 years, it's going to make somebody want to leave. Would the Falcons be up for that? Not absolutely sure. Lions, of course, is a great one. I kind of pushed back on that at first when I thought about it because of Zadarius Smith, obviously Aiden Hutchinson. They can get out of Zadarius' contract after this year. Him and Hutch would be absolutely insane. The new defensive coordinator coming in after Aaron Glenn leaving would really relieve some pressure off him. As much as I hate to say it, I think the Chiefs could be in play as well. If you're talking about Chris Jones, George Karlaftis, and then Myles Garrett, would be absolutely nuts to see him on that defensive line. The Buffalo Bills might need to make a serious call about this because Myles Garrett would immediately invigorate that defense. There's no true star pass rusher really with Buffalo. Now, I'm not knocking Ed Oliver, AJ Epinesa, Matt Milano, Greg Russo. Again, all of these guys make a great unit, but I believe a lot of the people that I have on this list are how much he could impact the entire unit. I mean, you're talking about raising the floor and, obviously raising the ceiling as well to get into those top 10, maybe even top 7 conversations about best defenses in the NFL. I think the Chargers are also another good look as well because Bosa struggles to stay healthy. He is 29. He's only played 3 full seasons in 9 years, but Khalil Mack is 33 years old, but he is off of a 17-sack season in 2023. We'd like to see some more of Khalil Mack, but again, if you're talking about Bosa, Khalil Mack, and Myles Garrett, I don't think any Chargers fan out there would be upset with you about it. The Broncos have a lot of good young talent as well. Zach Allen, Nick Bonito, Patrick Surtain, of course. You insert Myles Garrett with that veteran leadership, with that coaching in Sean Payton, with that defensive coordination in Denver, and I think it's an absolute home run. The Rams as well, they have a ton of young talent. Braden Fisk and Jared Verse were great picks for the Rams and immediately provided on that O-line. You've got Byron Young and Kobe Turner, who are young players as well. You bring in Myles Garrett as a veteran who is an absolute legend, and he provides so much value in that locker room, let alone on the field. The Packers, too. The Packers are going to be in a lot of conversations to acquire talent this offseason. Now, Lucas Van Ness, Kenny Clark, Rashawn Gary, Devontae Wyatt, and Quay Walker out of Georgia. We know they're formidable players. We'd like to see more out of them, but Myles Garrett would literally give them an elite edge at the position. Again, veteran leadership for a ton of teams here. I kind of floated the idea of the Niners as well because we know that there's Bosa. We know that there's a lot of first-round picks on that line, but I think if anybody would expect Myles Garrett to go to San Francisco, we would kind of be silly to not think that San Francisco could be in play for it. Just 2 more teams here. The Bears. There's no kind of my shots in the dark, how, like you said, you had your shots in the dark, JV. The Bears, no star pass rusher, pairing Myles Garrett with Montez Sweat, and then the linebackers and Edwards and Edmonds, along with bringing in Ben Johnson, just a real, reignition rather of this team. And then maybe the Bucks could be in play as well. You got Kalijah Kancey, Vita Vea, Levante David, who make a solid unit. You insert Myles Garrett. He brings a ton of value. And again, I know that's, half of the NFL, right, would want to play on him. But if you really talk about like outside of the Chiefs and the Niners, there's no real star pass rusher. Of course, the Chargers, like I said, have Khalil Mack as well, but a lot of those Commanders, Lions, Broncos, Rams could really be in the running for an elite guy like Myles Garrett. Are there any teams that I threw out there that you thought were kind of crazy, or maybe you wanted to add someone now that we got through the segment?
No, I had actually a question for you, AJ, because I mean, you read through what 10, 12 teams there, so
Yeah.
obviously you were going to list some teams in the AFC. And as far as Cleveland goes, I'm just curious if you think Myles Garrett, if the Browns would want to move him to another AFC team where he might cause problems in the future, or they just move him completely away. Because, I mean, they're not idiots. They know Myles Garrett is a massive problem, and ideally you don't want to go up against him at any point at all during the
Right.
season or the postseason. Moving him
Right.
to the NFC would be best. But I mean, Cleveland's not making a postseason run anytime soon. It's not a problem for them, obviously. But I'm curious
Right.
if you think they'll move him in the AFC or strictly NFC.
I'll think they'll send him anywhere that's not in the division, But again, we're talking about a GM again in Andrew Berry, who just is saying that he wouldn't take he said he wouldn't even entertain 2 first-round picks. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of wondering if he's boxing himself in. I just think that they don't want to see him in the same division to play him twice a year, and more than likely see him in the playoffs, play him in pivotal games to actually win said division. Of course, they would like to see him go to the other conference. That way they don't have too much, interconference play, really kind of struggling with him there. But like you said, the Browns are not going to be in contention anytime soon. So it would be crazy to see him maybe be in the AFC.
Right.
But I think they're open to, kind of sending him anywhere. Destiny said, I know this is football, but what are your guys' reaction to Luka to the Lakers? We'll pass over that one because we'll probably get a whole segment thrown in here that we'll be able to steer off of. Do you think the Falcons should keep Kirk or start Penix? Well, they're cutting Kirk for sure by March, and then Michael Penix is going to be the QB1, no doubt. Hope Myles Garrett goes anywhere but the Chiefs division. I don't want to deal with him 2 times a year. Hey, I feel you. I feel you for sure, but I think there's a good chance that the Broncos could be in play for him, and obviously some other divisional teams there as well that could really play a part.
Hey, it's AJL here. Appreciate you sticking to the end of the video here on YouTube. You could have chose any other show, but you chose my video, and for that, I'm very grateful. If you haven't already, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on social media. Hit the bell on the channel so you never miss a post. Check me out on all social media platforms. Right here, you'll find a chance to subscribe to the show, a related video, and a playlist. See you guys in the next one.